One of the big mystery debuts of 1976 was by a band who put out a slew of singles on Daffodil Records in advance of their debut album, 3:47 Eastern Standard Time. And many people thought that they were a certain foursome from England, finally reunited to pick up where they had left off on the album Abbey Road. In actuality, they were a trio of studio musicians from Canada, and their name was Klaatu. And from their first album, alternately self titled, the track, the raunchy number, True Life Hero. Hear the separation of the guitar in this, and that just the studio control, the sonic separation of instruments, and we had that like bass line really fluid, and the just controlled, manicured, distorted guitar, and then the harmonies just beaming in. You know this is going places. Last time I went swimming, I started to drown, and my head went down, and then they get right into like this like melodic arc right away. It's like bum bum. This F sharp, kind of like octave type groove, and then they go to like E, and then they find this really circular way to go from E to B. No 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 no. Yeah. Hear that four wallops per bar type pounding on the chorus, like. Already, this band is taking kind of their primary influence and just taking it into places where. Where the Beatles themselves hadn't, namely fusing that Beatlesque sense of melody and harmony with the raunch of, say, of bands like Free. Oh, hear that guitar tone, that searing right there? Feel that the bass is kind of like underlying the riffs and is actually kind of like leading the melody. It's like the bass is like responsible for that sequence of notes that appears between the E and the B, that boom 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 boom. Harmonies coming in to like accent certain keywords, add like harmonic nuance. Let's catch up with the lyrics to this number. The last time I went swimming, I started to drown and my head it went down. And then the lifeguard he jumped in, grabbed a hold of my hair and he pulled me to ground. He was a true life hero, friend of every man and child, a true life hero. I really do think I'd be wild. I wonder what it would be like to be the ultra maroon who was first on the moon. 'Cause who could help but dislike? A man, it is known, has the guts of a prune. Want to be a true life hero, friend of every man and child, a true life hero. I really do think I'd be wild. Huh. Yeah, I never interesting points made about the contrast between like heroes and well, what he said in that one line, a prune. Oh, now what is that sound? love that serene sound. It sounds like a combination of like fuzz guitar and synthesizer. Now, I was using that same exact description on something the other day. Oh, what video was it? I think it was the Locust video from their album Plague. There must be like I swear a certain instrument from this time period. Let's see. Well, one of them plays an electric sitar, although I don't think that's it. Let's see. The lineup here: John Woloschuk, vocals. These guys are all multi-instrumentalists. Vocals, piano, organ, mellotron, acoustic guitar, bass guitar, synthesizers, percussion. They don't give any maker models on this. Dee Long, vocals, acoustic guitar, electric sitar. I'm imagining the choral. Synthesizers, ukulele, mellotron. So two of them are playing, at some point, play mellotron. Yeah, you have two guys basically all over the string and key instruments, each with a pretty large arsenal, I'd imagine. And Terry Draper, drums, percussion, tympani, vocals. Perfect. They all sing. They all play big array of instruments. Additional musicians, string, woodwinds, and xylophone on one track, not this one. Yeah, the track I'm just playing, it's simply the three guys in the band. Let's see, the final verse. I could never be like him. I could never be strong because I'm always wrong. So I'll just sit here thinking how nice it would be if it was only me who was a true life hero, friend of every man and child. A true life hero. I really do think I'd be wild. I really do think I'd be wild. That means that he would be a show-off if he were a hero, that he would be a celebrity, that he would be like a real colorful media character, that he would ride, that he would really utilize his public image and become. I'm taking that's what that means. Like he would, if he would actually maybe dress up and become a superhero, and adopt a moniker, like Evil Knievel or something. I love that the really hard wallop of percussion they put on that chorus, and they kind of they basically emphasize the drumming, the percussion for a few bars, and kind of mute some of the other instruments. So all you hear is just the harmonies and that kind of dropout effect. I really love it, and kind of I think I maybe hear I hear a cowbell in there. That really kind of 70s hard rock feel, and kind of a crickety sound too. I wonder where that kind of walloping, what might have influenced it, because I know that there was a lot of that going around. I'm wondering if it may have been influenced by Jonathan King with his boom shakalaka lugga arrangement on Blue Suede. Maybe that's what kind of was making it popular around this time. Oh, I love that solo, just kind of oozing, very refined, just a few choice notes over a mostly like riff-based solo, and some kind of yelping, like... What's so great about this track is that this band didn't do very many. They only did maybe 3 songs that you could really classify as hard rock, and yet they're out of 5 albums, and yet they're masters of the form. the amount of control and studio separation and refinement they bring to the style. I love the contrast between like the close cadence riffage and the kind of more open, kind of oozing lead moments. Those contrasts between the like driving, like a couple of bars of like really driving rhythm, and then a few kind of like bars where they kind of like drop out and. Yeah, a few bars where the rhythm just it leaves out a few beats and such. Yeah, that was True Life Hero by Klaatu from their 1976 album 3:47 Eastern Standard Time, alternately released as Klaatu. Released under the that unusual name anyway on Daffodil in Canada, and then released as a self-titled album stateside on Capitol. Let's hear another track from the album. Another single that was released in advance of the album, Hanus of Uranus. Okay, once again, we got some great interplay between bass and really crunchy electric guitar on this one. Like, coming together to form something better than the sum of the parts. Last night, wishing on a star. Like the bass is giving the riff its drive, the guitar is giving it the sizzle. Down from the sky came a man in a car. I like the vocals, the kind of trebly, almost kind of like radio sounding voice, kind of like over the kind of like CB radio sound. He said, "Get in, Jackson. Come on, let's go for a ride out of sight." Okay, late last night, while wishing on a star, down from the sky came a man in a car. He said, "Get in, Jackson. Come on, let's go for a ride." What a sight, huh? I have no idea where this is going. Sitting in a carpet, strapped down in a chair. I said, "Hey, tell me." Hear that oscillating sound? What's that over there? It's sounding kind of future. It's sounding in space. You know, I think this is kind of like perhaps another song about compliance with alien abductors, perhaps just like Crack the Skies, Invaders from Mars, that came out the same year on their Animal Notes album. He said, "Meet my computer. He's a friendless son of a gun, and we're having fun." Hear the two kind of the interlocking guitar parts. I guess they're both contributing to that riff. I'm hearing. Because I was hearing dun 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 dun, and then I was also hearing like a third a fifth beat. Na 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 na. It's like one was playing like the tonic, and one was playing like the fifth on a separate guitar. In a cloudy room. Oh, I love those little details they throw in, like that, little licks here and there with that sizzling tone. It's a glass of ammonia. I got to get off soon. Kind of, I'm hearing some jet engine sound work its way into like create the kind of sound and scenery of a UFO takeoff. Sunday that on Mercury, or jamming on Jupiter, which do you prefer? the bass cut in, kind of put those fluid notes through that searing jet engine guitar. Basically a modulation of the riff that we've heard, and it sounds like we've already landed in another planet. Let's see. Sitting in the cockpit, strapped down in a chair, I said, "Hey, tell me what's that over there?" He said, "Meet my computer." He's a friendly son of a gun, and we're having fun. So, he's being taken into a spaceship with a kind of planet, a foreign planet species that have already invented like cyborgs and a more developed civilization, let's say. Playing cards on Venus in a cloudy room, pass a glass of ammonia, I gotta get off soon, sunbathing on Mercury or jamming on Jupiter, which do you prefer? Oh, so he's actually being taken around in sort of a tour, an intergalactic tour. This is not just like one planet. It's getting pretty late, I gotta go home. Nice to have met you. What's your telephone? Maybe soon I'll call you if I can afford the fare. It's long distance out there. Hanus of Uranus, he's a friend of mine. He's a first-rate party and a real fine time. Hanus of Uranus, he's a friend of mine. He's first-rate party and a real fine time. So I guess this is about, kind of like about some kind of future time where space travel becomes like taking like a bus tour of like a touristy bus tour of a city, where it just becomes just like hop on board and fly to this planet. Yeah, something that might probably won't ever arrive actually, because the planets are just too far apart to be traveling, one to another in the span of an afternoon or whatever. But another song that's coming to mind here is Blazing Apostles by Bebop Deluxe, from their Sunburst Finish album, which also came out in 1976. Yeah, so this kind of thing of space travel becoming quite a popular theme around this time. Okay, we've got some layers going on here. I definitely hearing more than just 3 instruments playing at once. I'm hearing some overdubs. Hear that guitar, no, and there's also that searing lead playing over it, and there's also the bass underneath it all. And oh, that searing sound right over that riff, just descending like that.
It's getting pretty late. I got to go home. Nice to have met you.
Oh, those nuances, just putting them in at choice moments. These guys are great instrumentalists. I mean, even though it's like one of those cases where you've got like really sharp, just like tonal control and mastery of sound effects and just all these like complementary melodic and harmonic parts just put in the right places, and I mean it takes quite a bit of like tactility and instrumental dexterity to pull that off, and yet I think ultimately though, of course, this band is seen more of as kind of like a studio production, like they're seen as like a marvel of engineering, and so I think these guys maybe get credits more as composers and producer, but there's a lot of great musicianship that may get kind of overlooked on this.
Maybe soon I'll call you if I could afford the fare from
Ah, the way that riff just kind of came and just like fought its way up, diddle down, diddle down, diddle down. those poking kind of stabbing leads, and you hear that kind of it's not like a vibra slap, but it kind of sounds like that sound.
Hanus of Uranus, he's a friend of mine.
That
He's a first rate party and a real fine time.
love that. Yep, speeding off into the distance, flying off. The ship of Hanus of Uranus. And before that, True Life Hero, two raunchy hard rockin' songs by Klaatu from their debut album, one of the most rumored albums to come out in 1976. Yeah, a lot of speculation greeted this band's arrival. It's like, who are they? Are they the Beatles? In disguise? Is this finally like the Fab Four getting back? Because back in the mid 70s, there was like a lot of pressure on the Beatles to get back together. I don't know what was driving that so much as just I don't know, boomers. I guess the first generation of Beatles fans were starting to age and were getting into their 30s and just weren't as hip to the newer music. Their loss. I mean, yeah, the Beatles were great, but let's just say the music world had plenty going on without them. I mean, and if you're just new to it all, take a look at the Trimax year-by-year musical directory, starting, say, like 1971 through 19, and go through the next 13 years or so, 13, 14 years. And by the time you, like, 1971, you can find, like, over like about 1,000 albums from around the world. By 1976, you can find like 1,700 albums from around the world and counting of just, musical creativity across the musical spectrum from numerous countries, dozens upon dozens of places around the world. In practically every city, bands that were exploring the potential of the creative potential of the greater idioms being brought together into something better than the sum of their part. And this album, this album was so diverse. I was just touching upon one corner of it. This band were by and large picking up on some of the rock classical maximalism born out of A Day in the Life, like on the songs. Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft, which was made famous by the Carpenters a couple of years later, and Little Neutrino, two epics from the album, and also like exploring that kind of vaudevillian music hall sound of kind of circusy sound on Sir Bodsworth. Rugglesby the Third, and Anyway, and their next album, they would take the kind of maximalism to even more like avant-garde ends and such, spacier, get even spacier and more experimental. The album Hope, but that's a topic for another time. For more rubies and sapphires from the Klaatu catalog, see the directory of albums by Canadian artists linked in the description below. For red hot tracks and purples from this album, and three of the ones after it. Hope, Sir Armory Suite, and Endangered Species, as well as many other Canadian acts from the time period. And like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two tracks we just heard, the riffage, the nuances, the dynamics, the interplay, the licks, the vocals, the lyrics, the production techniques employed. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air-traveled Trimaximalist, signing off.